In today's training, we're going to be discussing batch cooking. We're going to learn what it means to batch cook and then understand the benefits of it. We're going to identify quality indicators in food, discuss how batch cooking can be a group effort, as well as identify tools that can help you be more successful in batch cooking. So what does it mean to batch cook? Batch cooking means that you're preparing food in small batches as needed throughout the serving period, so as opposed to cooking all your food at once. In the elementary school setting, service is spread out over the course of a few hours. That makes it most similar to a restaurant where your customers are trickling in at all different times. Whereas in a high school setting, service comes in two very large seatings. The bulk of your kids are fed in under 15 minutes, making it much more similar to a banquet style of service. In the elementary school, where it goes over the course of a few hours, this service style offers the ability to more easily continuously cook. It gives you the time to assess what you have and batch cook between classes according to what they're taking. And it gives you a little bit more time to come up with a plan B if that becomes necessary. Whereas over in a high school, the service style requires you to have all of your planned servings ready to go before the seating starts. So even though lunch is only 30 minutes long, the bulk of your customers are in and out in 15 minutes. So that makes continuous cooking unrealistic. So what that means is that batch cooking comes in the form of cooking between the two seatings, especially those items that don't hot hold well. There are a number of benefits of batch cooking, but for now we're just going to focus on two. One is that it ensures that we're serving high quality food, and the other is that it reduces waste. And then both of these things help our department financially. Let's take a minute just to focus on quality. Throughout this video, I'm going to be repeatedly using a grilled cheese sandwich as my example. So let's just say that you were to have all of your planned grilled cheese sandwiches for the entire day cooked by 10:30 when the kindergartners come in. What might it be like for that last class coming in at the end of the day? And then what could the consequences be from that? So likely that grilled cheese sandwich would be hard as a rock and really, really dry. A student could then decide that they never want to eat on grilled cheese sandwich day again, or that they just never want to get school lunch again because they think the quality is really bad. Serving meals is vital to keeping our program running. It's how we are reimbursed, and that's how we fund everything that we do. So batch cooking helps ensure that we're serving high quality foods that is appealing and that keeps our customers coming back. Now let's focus on reducing waste. With batch cooking, you're cooking the food as you need it. If you were to cook all of the planned servings for the day all at once, and then you end up serving far less than you anticipated, which we all know can happen for a variety of reasons. The times that they don't tell you about class parties or field trips, or sometimes the kids just flip-flop on you and the entree ends up being more popular than you had anticipated. So say last time they really liked the grilled cheese, so you prepped a little bit more, and then this month, for whatever reason, none of them want the grilled cheese and they're all eating the corn dog. Then if you had cooked all of those grilled cheese sandwiches, you end up having to throw food away. It's literally the same as throwing away money. So while some foods can be cooled down and served the next day, many can't due to the decreased quality. So you just have to ask yourself, would you want to eat a grilled cheese sandwich that had been cooked the day before, cooled down, and then reheated again? Likely not. Grilled cheese sandwiches are not very forgiving in that sense. They decrease in quality rather quickly when being hot held. But in batch cooking, and cooking as you need it, you would just have trays of uncooked grilled cheese sandwiches, which isn't an issue at all. You can just save those for another day where you throw them out as an extra option. Then we're not wasting. So what are some of the things that make food good? There are plenty more, but we're just going to focus on 4 for now. And those are flavor, appearance, temperature, and texture. These are called quality indicators, and most foods benefit from batch cooking in order to retain these quality indicators. So keeping those quality indicators in mind, what are some quality issues we might encounter from hot holding food for too long? So over here on the left, we have a box of French fries, and crispy items can get soggy, so that would be texture and appearance indicators. Again, with the grilled cheese, soft items can get hard and crunchy, which would be texture. Here we have a burger, moist items can dry out. We all have had a burger patty that's become a hockey puck, and so that would be texture and appearance. Hot items can get cold, of course that's temperature. And then one that we don't think about quite as often, but it's that color may change, and that's appearance. Some of you might be wondering how this lesson on batch cooking applies to you when you're not the cook. But I just want you to take a second to think about how it can become a group effort. Communication is key. It's always better to over-communicate rather than there to ever be a lack of communication. So how can batch cooking be a communication between everyone in the kitchen? It could look something like the cashier letting the cook know what grade is coming up. I know from experience that when I've been cooking in kitchens, number one, I'm not there every day, so I don't know what's going on, period. But my head is down, I'm working, I'm prepping for the next thing, and I have no idea where we're at. So it's really helpful to me for the cashier to let me know where we're at so I can kind of take inventory of what we have and decide what we need going forward based off of what grade we're on. It can also look like the server letting the cook know when food is getting low or when pans are being pulled from the warmer. Working together with open and clear communication will make batch cooking a smoother process and keep our customers happy because the food is fresher and then we're going to have their options. It's important to remember that we are all the face of the food, no matter what our position is in the department. Make sure that you're taking pride and ownership in serving quality food and that we're all helping each other out for the same cause. Ask yourself, would I want to eat this? Because if you wouldn't want to eat it and it's dried out and it's crusty or it's cold, it's really likely that the student doesn't want to eat it either. Now we're going to move on to some batch cooking tips. One of the things you can do is to look ahead on your menu. Decide what can be done ahead of time in order to make batch cooking more efficient. So again, I told you I'd be referring to a grilled cheese sandwich a lot. Referring to it again, what can be prepped? So a grilled cheese sandwich is actually kind of time consuming to prep, so that's not something you don't want to put that off to doing in between classes and getting things in the oven. You're really likely to get behind. So it's helpful to get your planned servings prepped or most of them prepped or a portion of them prepped to get you started so that it can be more efficient. Another thing that might be helpful is thawing. So I have found, for example, our burritos to cook more evenly and fast and not, burst open as badly if they're thawed or partially thawed. So that's something that I find to be really helpful in my batch cooking. Another thing you can do is to map out your day because batch cooking is way more successful when you go into it with a plan. So what I like to do is to look at my menu for the day and then estimate how long it takes the different items to cook. This will help you determine how much lead time you need on each item. And lead time is just how long it takes for you to get it in the oven, cook completely, and then get it back into the warmer or on the line. So on this particular day, for example, the beef dippers cook fairly quickly. Whereas the brown rice, however, takes a really long time to cook. So both of those items have completely different lead times, so how we handle them with batch cooking will be quite different. Beef dippers, you can maybe do 1 or 2 pans at a time, whereas brown rice, you need to get pretty far ahead. Another thing you need to do is to post a schedule with the average participation per grade listed. This aids in making faster and more accurate decisions with your batch cooking. And then you can update it periodically as you notice changes in participation. This is not just for you, this is also for anybody who are to walk in your kitchen and need to be able to cook food for the day. So say both the manager and the cook are out, which happens, and people like us from the office, we end up there and we're not there every day. We have no idea what's going on. We completely depend on this participation by grade to be able to successfully batch cook and not have way too much or not enough as each grade comes in. Let's talk a little bit about batch cooking misconceptions. So It's possible you might be thinking that I don't have time to cook each entree fresh between each class. And our goal here is ultimately to serve high quality foods in a way that makes sense. So that's not saying that you can only have enough food in the warmer for second grade and then completely clear it out and then only enough food for fourth grade. That's not our expectation. We just want to make sure that you aren't loading your warmer full of food that lasts a really long time and that you're continuously cooking so that it's fresher and that we don't have as much waste. Another one might be that high schools can't batch cook. The answer to this one is really just reiterating what I talked about in one of those early slides. And it's just that high school batch cooking looks differently than it does in elementary school. As opposed to continuously cooking over the course of a few hours, you're cooking for 2 large seatings. So that means really focusing on foods that won't hold up well in the warmer and cooking those fresh before each of those seatings. So that same grilled cheese sandwich, you want to cook one batch for the first lunch that comes in at 10:34 or whatever it is, and then between the 2 seatings, you want to cook another batch for that second seating at 12:10. And the same goes for anything else that wouldn't hold up well. So cook a new batch of pizza and things like that. You might also be thinking that we expect there to be no waste whatsoever. Sandra's expectation is that the last kid coming through the line has the same options as the first kid at the beginning of the day. With this expectation will come some waste. It's inevitable. All we ask is that you are trying your best to reduce waste wherever you can. So that just means that you need to maybe pay attention to some trends and make some adjustments. So maybe you've noticed that at the end of the day, you've had, one whole pan of chicken nuggets left over the last 2 times that you've had chicken nuggets. So maybe that means that you're just trying to cut it down and this time you're only having a half pan or so on and so forth. It's just really trying to make little tweaks so that you're able to reduce the waste. Today's training can be counted in Southwest Training under Operations Training Code 2230. Thanks for watching.